a big statement about
So
Florida?
start of SEC play. If you look at the league, we've got 5 teams ranked in the top 25 in the country, 3 in the top 10. And then you've got teams like, obviously Mississippi State is ranked, but Mississippi State and Missouri with a great win over Illinois, and the league is just better, right? And so I look at the Florida matchup. We were picked basically 5th in the league, mostly. Florida was picked between 5th and 7th, so this is an important game because I do think that Florida will be a team that will compete for the top 5 or 6 spots in our league, and so will we, and that's and so it's going to be it's an important game. I guess they're all important. It's going to be quite a grind. Defense has carried us. It needs to continue. Florida, it starts and ends with the Castleton. He has had his way with us since he got into the league, and Florida's traditionally been a tough matchup for us. They've added the Lofton kid from Kyle Lofton, a transfer from St. Bonaventure, 3-time All-Atlantic 10 kid to kind of run their club, and he's a winner, tough kid. And they got 3 guys that can really shoot it out there, and so it'll be a tough matchup. I'm very proud of Todd for his work as a student athlete. Obviously, we won gold together. He was my point guard in 2009 on Maccabi USA, which was very exciting to experience that. Him, Stephen, and Todd played on that gold medal team in 2009, and then when he got into coaching, when he was done playing professionally, he called me and he asked me about, what do you think about this profession? And I, just like my son, I try to talk him out of it. And I said, you're way too smart for this. You're bright, and go do something else. But he wanted to, so he actually did. He actually did do something else for a little while, working in New York, I think. And man, he called me and he said, I think I'm going to take this deal at Columbia, this part-time assistant, whatever it's going to be. And I'm like, all right, there you go. And then I got the Auburn job the next year, and I asked him to come with me. And so he got a taste of the SEC, and then got a chance to be the associate head coach out in San Francisco, and then he took over. He's done a phenomenal job. So it's a great story, and obviously very proud of him.
Questions? Advice?
Hey, Bruce, in today's time when guys are leaving early, NIL portal, what is it like to see a guy like Castleton stay so long and get to know him as an opponent?
Well, I think the big kid, Shiway, right, at Kentucky, Castleton, Sonogo at UConn, those guys made really good decisions because maybe their draft status all said something about second round or late second round, or maybe not being drafted for one reason or another. And because of NIL, they now have an opportunity to not have to chase that second round dream, or when they're not certain what their draft status would be, and improve their stock, and at the same time begin to start to get a little bit of treasure from their experience in addition to a tuition room board. I think the NIL, and specific to this case, allows guys to be able to afford to be patient and to grow. Castleton also had a bad shoulder at the end of last year, and I knew that he didn't feel like he was 100% healthy going into what would be, NBA combines and things like that.
And then just as a follow to that, as a person facing him, how does that maybe help or hurt that you know him so well?
Oh, I don't think it makes any difference that I can never play somebody, watch him play a few games, and I know him pretty well. So it doesn't really matter. I'm tired of him kicking our ass. Is what I'm tired of. I don't know him well enough to stop him or do anything. We were the National Defensive Player of the Year last year. We couldn't stop him. He's a focal point for what they do, and they've got some shooters to make it difficult to double team him, and so we just got to do it. But we got some good outside players as well. Janai Broom and Dylan Carwell are really good players, really good defenders, and that's going to be a huge matchup. Jitobo and Castleton against Dylan and Janai.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Janai and Castleton going against each other. Janai had a really good second half against Washington. Feels like he's really coming on. Just how do you think he is going into a really, really big matchup in this first SEC game?
Yeah, I mean, to have to start your SEC play against the, and again, you might correct me on this. Where was Castleton as far as first team? I believe he was first team all SEC. So arguably Castleton was the best. He was thought to be one of the very best centers in our league, and obviously Walker and Sheway. So it'll be a great matchup. But I'll put the four of them together rather than just it being Castleton versus Janai. I think it's important that I think you look at it that way. And then it's also a team game. What are we going to do? What are we going to do to help him? Florida does a good job in that ball screen offense. They force your 5-man to guard in ball screen, and then they get out to Castleton in advantage, disadvantage situations, and then you got to guard them.
Mark?
Bruce, was it helpful that you guys made that West Coast trip?
I mean, it was helpful because the win over Washington moved us 20 points in the net. A road win against a Power 5 team that has beaten some good teams. I do think it does show you that the importance of matchups. We're not 24 points better than Washington, but the way the systems have matched up the last two times we've played, for one reason or another, it was a really good matchup. It's interesting. It doesn't get talked about nearly often enough. And it's nobody's fault. It's just nobody's fault. It's just certain things that we do bother people way more than it ought to, and certain things that we do actually bring out the best in some people, and vice versa. And so oftentimes, if you guys look at that, and I always equate it when I'm talking in the SEC, because we have the best football conference in the country. Equate that to football. Think about that for a second in football. I bet you, as long as you guys have covered football, there are just some matches you make you wonder why a certain system matched up better against another system.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Auburn, Florida, historically, no matter the coach, has been a difficult matchup. Does that even cross coaching systems? Sometimes it's for whatever reason, team versus team, because Todd it's a different system now for him. Does it sometimes sometimes the opponent have,
Well, I mean, obviously, you take a look at Georgia and Alabama, those are rivalry games. So regardless of the coach, those are rivalry games. It doesn't matter. Kentucky is always the most talented team in the league, so that one doesn't matter. I do think when it comes to matchups, systems and coaches, it does matter. And I've not gone up against Todd. Todd does. I'd say his basketball system is closer to Kyle Smith's at Washington State and Columbia than it would be what I do at Auburn.
Any more questions?
Bruce, how did you think Wendell did, especially in the second half against Washington? It kind of felt like he got back to at least attacking the basket like his old self.
Yeah, I mean, look, Wendell. I think most players would never have played the USC game. He hurt the ankle at the very end, one of the last plays against Georgia State. He was able to practice. That Georgia State game was a Wednesday. He took Thursday off. We traveled Friday. He took Friday off. He was able to practice Saturday, therefore play Sunday. But he tried, and he wasn't able to he wasn't able to move like he needed to move, and so he just got 12 minutes. And fortunately, Trey Donaldson came in, played really well. Obviously, Trey had a really good trip and solidified himself as the backup point guard, or right now he's backup point guard, and sort of solidified himself there. I think the issue with Chance was just, while point guard very well may have been his best position, too much to ask him to, after missing the entire fall, coming back from surgery, and then putting the ball in his hands to run the show. I probably should have tried to start him off the ball somewhere, but there was no room for him with Chris and Al at the 3, KD and Zep at the 2. And so that's kind of why he came back there. And obviously, he wasn't able to play to the level he played this summer.